I've purchased a Nest thermostat system and I'm trying to connect it to a Carrier Infinity furnace and air conditioner. The furnace model number is...
Hi Dan, I'm Brian and I'm here to help. I'm pretty familiar with both Nest thermostats and Carrier Infinity systems, so I can help with this. Please allow me a moment to pull up the manuals for your equipment. I assume this is a Nest 3rd Gen thermostat, yes? Did you have a Carrier Infinity thermostat that you're replacing, or was it a standard heating/cooling thermostat wired in legacy mode to your Infinity system?
A Carrier Infinity.
Okay, thanks. Did you switch the wiring on the furnace to legacy terminals, R, C, Y1, W1, G etc., instead of the ABCD communication terminals? Did you have enough wires in the thermostat cable to switch the wiring? The Infinity only requires 4.
I didn't switch any wiring on the furnace unless that is what the dip switches do. I did change some of them. The Infinity I took off had 4 wires, red, white, green, and yellow. I hooked them to the Nest just like the directions said. Here's the Infinity before I removed the wires.
Okay, thanks. The low voltage wiring at the furnace will have to be changed for your Infinity system to operate with the Nest thermostat. The Nest operates as a conventional thermostat and the Infinity thermostat operates as a serial communicating device on a serial network between thermostat/furnace/outdoor unit. Your Infinity system is capable of operating in conventional mode, also known as legacy mode, but the wiring has to be switched at the furnace and outdoor unit, and you have to have enough wires in the cables between the equipment. I can help with that. It's no big deal if you have enough wires in the cables. You have a 5-wire cable between the thermostat and the furnace. What is the model number of the AC unit outside? That has a bearing on how many wires you need at the Nest.
It sounds like a big deal. Is it something I can handle? Are you getting the pictures I'm sending?
Sorry for the delay, I had some network trouble. I'll review the pics and be right back. Thanks for the outdoor unit model. Okay, now we've run into a hitch. You could wire the Nest thermostat, but you would lose a lot of functionality with your system. You have a 2-stage heat/2-stage cooling system and you only have enough wires for a single-stage heat/2-stage cool system, and that's without using a 24-volt common connection, which is less desirable than having a 24-volt common connection wired. To take full advantage of both the Nest thermostat and the functionality of your AC and heating system, you would need 8-conductor thermostat wire between the Nest location and the furnace. It's really no big deal to change the wiring, no different than wiring the thermostat itself. So in short, you have the decision to operate your system in a bit of a limited mode with the 5 wires you have, or run new wire and use the full functionality of all devices, or abandon the idea and go back to the Infinity thermostat. Just let me know how you'd like to proceed and I'll help any way I can. Thanks, Brian.
I want the full functionality of both systems or I'll never hear the end of it from my wife. But I'm on the East Coast and it's 9:30 p.m. and dark here. Could we work on this tomorrow? And do you want me to send you a picture inside the furnace?
I completely understand. I'm in TN, so we are in the same zone. We can certainly pick this up tomorrow, just post a new reply and I'll reply as soon as possible. I generally don't start working until 10 a.m. or so, since I usually work until about 2 a.m. Yes, Pictures of the furnace control board close up and then one zoomed out just a bit so I can tell which field run thermostat cable goes to which spot will be very helpful. So, just so you understand, you'll need to get an 8-conductor thermostat cable run between the thermostat location and the furnace to use the nest and have full functionality of your carrier system. The big blue or orange store has the wire. The wire you already have between the furnace and the outdoor unit will be fine. We only need either 3 or 4 conductors out there and you already have that.
I'll go the orange store in the morning and give you a reply early afternoon. Here are some pics.
Sounds good. I'll be around and don't worry, this is a piece of cake. Especially because I can take your pics and mock them up on how to wire it. At the orange store, just ask for 8-conductor/18 gauge low voltage cable and they should have it. You need a minimum of 7 wires, and with the nest and your infinity furnace, we can even make use of the 8th wire for humidity control too. Have a good night and I'll look for your post tomorrow. Thanks, Brian.
Hey Brian, I'm back.
Wow, just that moment I thought about you and your challenge. Did you score some cable and run a new one?
What a job. My basement is 5 and I'm 5 feet 11 inches. My back hurts. The orange store only had 7 strands, so I got that.
Yeah, I can relate. At least it wasn't an attic run. 7 will work fine. So the first thing is to turn power off to both your furnace and your outdoor unit and unwire all the low voltage connections. You'll have to open up your outdoor unit to do so, obviously smile. While you're doing that, I'll write up the wiring scheme. When you strip the wires, make sure you don't strip them too long, only enough to get under / in the terminals. I'll be back very shortly. Brian. Also, what exactly are the 7 colors?
Colors are white, green, red, yellow, blue, tan, and orange. Also, I that you said the outside unit was going to be okay. I'm not real sure how to open that, but I'll try. Thought you said.
What I meant was the available wire count to the outside unit would be okay. Sorry for the misunderstanding, but the wires have to be changed there as well. You just remove the side panel with 4 screws and you will see the circuit board to wire to. You're welcome to take a pic of it and send it if you wish.
Side panel is off. Now removing green, white, yellow, red wires. Here's a before picked. Now going to run 7 wire outside. Should just be a minute.
That's not really necessary, you have enough wires outside since you only need 4. However, if you did, all wiring colors would remain consistent throughout. If you leave the 5 wire, one color will be oddball at the furnace as compared to the thermostat. It's your choice though. I'll give a wiring scheme either way.
Wire is outside. Now stripping.
Okay, this is how you will wire everything. At the Nest Connect, red to RH, blue to C, yellow to Y1, orange to Y2, white to W1, tan to W2/O, green to G. At the outdoor unit, red to or blue to C, yellow to Y1, orange to Y2. Now the most challenging part. At the furnace, both reds to or both blues to COM/24 volts, both yellows to Y1, both oranges to Y/Y2, white from nest to W1, tan from nest to W2, green from nest to G. That completes the wiring. Now I'll review your dip switch settings and give any corrections needed.
Like this.
That's perfect.
Nest is next. Like this nest.
The nest looks perfect as well. Onto the furnace and you're golden. See, I told you it was a piece of cake tongue, well, except for the store run and having to rerun wires and having to rewire each piece of equipment and. Smile, but the technical aspect was easy peasy anyway.
Here is a before pict of furnace. Where do I start? Forgot pick.
Well, the two 5-wire cables need to go completely and the two 7-wire cable hooked up to the lettered terminals is outlined above. Nothing will be wired to ABCD plastic strip, the wires from both 7-wire cables will only to the terminal strip with the bright metal screw terminals. I assume you ran one cable from the nest to the furnace and another cable from the furnace to the outdoor unit.
Correct.
So yeah, you just strip and hook up the wires as noted, both reds to or both blues to COM/24 volts, both yellows to Y1, both oranges to Y/Y2, white from nest to W1, tan from nest to W2, green from nest to G. Wrap the unused wires from each respective cable around the cable just as they did with the blue wire before.
All stripped and ready to connect.
Good deal. When you're done connecting them and having looked at your picture of the dip switches and the manual, I don't see any switches you need to change. However, there is a tiny little Berg pin style computer board jumper on the furnace control board labeled AJR. That Berg jumper must not be shorting the two pins but just be in place on one of the pins to hold it there. All else should be okay as wired, as set. You can now power up your furnace and AC and the nest should come to life. It should read the connections you have and may or may not ask you a couple of questions about your system. Post the questions here if you don't understand them.
Here are current picks.
As long as the wires on W1, W2 and G are the ones that go to the nest, you're golden and it looks exactly right. The switches should be fine, there is only one that controls how the heat stages, that's switch 1 to 2 and it's on as it should be. The rest are airflow settings and should have been set originally for the size furnace and AC you have. You should be able to close up, install the face of the nest and power up.
Need is restarting. Black screen with green flashing light. White screen with home. Please attach screen to base. Black screen flashing green light. White screen with house. GHT on furnace flashing. One short, one long.
That all sounds about right. Has the nest asked you any questions yet?
No. It showed the wiring diagram and went through its paces without any input from me. It says network not connected because of low battery.
That's good that it needed no input from you. Boy, these things are getting smarter and smarter. You should be able to set it to cool and get it running at this point. The battery thing is a bit odd, but let me know if it cools all right.
It said it had to restart to conserve battery, so we're back square one.
Okay, let me do some reading and I'll be back shortly. Thanks for your patience.
It now says cool stage 268 degrees.
Okay, did your furnace blower and outdoor unit come on?
No AC yet. GHT still flashing one short, one long. Nothing had come on.
Code 11 is a reset code, so that's a bit odd. I may have looked at things upside down on your dip switches. Turn power off to the furnace, change the switch position of both switches 1 and 2 and power back up. Just to clarify, that's reverse the position of switch 1 to 1 and 1 to 2, not all switches.
If I turn THR furnace off then back on, the GHT goes out and something sounds like it's running, but it soon stops and GHT is back on. New code -2 short 5 long, AC and blower came on. Now cooling.
That's good. Did the LED go constant on or is it still flashing a code?
Still flashing code.
Okay, but the system is cooling and the nest is happy?
Correct, and number 55357 semicolon and number 56835.
Okay, well we're cooling, so that gives us some time to relax. The code it's flashing is not a hugely important one. It just means the furnace control board is a bit confused. Let me do a little reading about it and see what do about it. I'm assuming it's because it no longer has communication with the Infinity thermostat and the outdoor unit, legacy mode, but I should know more in a bit. Congrats though, you did it excellent and your wiring looked great.
I thought it looked like an amateur had done it. But it was nice of you to say. When we get all done, I'd like to give you some more money.
Lol, I've seen horrible low voltage wiring jobs from techs that actually charge people for their work. Yours looks great in comparison. That very kind of you. Not required but very much appreciated. I'll see what we can do about that code and be back shortly. Thanks, Brian.
We'll wait for your reply.
Very good, I'm looking now for the cause/correction now. Okay, this turns out to be a switch issue, which I thought it was. This is how the switches of SW1 should be set: off is left position, on is right position, 1 to 1 off, 1 to 2 on, 1 to 3 off, 1 to 4 on, 1 to 5 on, 1 to 6 off, 1 to 7 on, 1 to 8 off. Make sure you turn power off before changing switches, make the changes above, then repower the furnace. The LED may flash a code for up to 2 minutes, but just ignore it. The LED should go solid after 2 minutes. If it doesn't, let me know what code it flashes.
Solid amber and cooling.
Awesome. By George, we've done it. Lol. You should be good to go and be able to set up any wireless functions you want.
Many thanks. I could never have accomplished that alone. Now what happens?
You just rate your service with me by clicking one of the 5 stars, 5 is best, and then it will guide you through the rest. Thanks so much for your patience, I know this was a long haul. You've been a pleasure to work with.
Thanks again. If I ever have any problems, I want you again.
Thanks much. You can request me. After logging into the site, use this link for your question in the box, then put this question for customer number 39 at the beginning of your question and I'll be notified. Thanks much for the great rating and the very generous bonus. Thanks much for using JustAnswer. Have a cool evening. D. Best regards, Brian.
If you have a home improvement or appliance question and want to chat with an expert now, visit justanswer.com/ythi.